You are listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo!
My compliments, little lady.
Commercial! Break for 30 seconds.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the News Radio WFLA Orlando studios from 11 a.m. to noon every Sunday. And I am your host, Angela Smerito. And before we jump into everything, I'd like to give one of our sponsors a shout out. The Florida heat is here, so now is the time to get your irrigation system serviced by Ground Up Property Services. Don't wait until your grass is turning brown or dies. Call today, 407-468-4295, or visit groundupinc.net. All right, we have a very special guest today. Please welcome Keith Kong, Mentalist.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, there's that voice I was talking about. I was telling some people the other day, it's like when I talk to people now, I'm like, ooh, that's a nice voice. And they're like, that's a very random thing to say to somebody. But you have a very nice voice, so.
Thank you.
All right, so before we say anything else, what is a mentalist?
That's a great question. So a mentalist is sort of like just slightly more sophisticated magician. If you think of a magician as someone that does sleight of hand, a mentalist does sleight of mind.
Okay, fascinating.
So, for example, I have a background in psychology, degrees in psychology and criminal profiling, but I actually started as a magician. So when you put all of that together, you get a mentalist.
Okay. So did you start in school? Like you started doing tricks in school?
So way back, for as long as I can remember, I've just been super fascinated with understanding people, how they think, why they do what they do. I even wanted to be a hostage negotiator when I was like 10 years old.
Right. Okay. That's fascinating. I read that on your bio. I was like, wow. So I like I said, so from that point to where we are now, walk us through that process. Because like I said, this is fascinating stuff to me.
Yeah, thanks. It's evolved a lot over time. So started with that psychology mindset when I was 11. In fact, on my 11th birthday, I started magic.
Fun. Did you get like the little magic set?
I did. I had asked everyone for it because I'd seen a magician on TV. My 11th birthday was coming up. And the day before my 11th birthday, I went snooping and I found a magic kit in my mom's closet.
You're like, yes!
I was so excited. I confessed. I was like, Mom, I found this. Can I please open it early? And she agreed. And so I just binge watched the little magic DVD, learned everything in the kit, and the next day at my party, I was performing for the guests.
And you are so happy, huh?
I was happy because it was actually fooling them, and more importantly, it was entertaining them. And when you're 11 and you're blowing adults' minds, it's really cool. You know, you're giving them this treat.
Right. I remember my grandfather did that pull your thumb off thing when I was a kid, and it scared me so bad. I went screaming out of the room. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. It's better than the other pull my finger trick, though.
Right. Can you do the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, this right here.
Have you ever seen that one before? All right.
I've just gotten a little better since then.
Well, thank you for showing everybody that that's what it was. All right. So I mean, from there, and that's when you're younger years. And so when you said that you went into going into your college years, that's when you're like, I want to be a criminal psychologist, or a hostage situation kind of thing. And that's all what led you to psychology. So
it started with that hostage negotiator in mind. Started magic at 11. When I was 14, I started performing for audiences of strangers. So I would go into bars and clubs that I wasn't old enough to be in.
I was about to say.
Yeah, they would escort me in. I would perform, and then they'd walk me back out, and I'd have to wait in the lobby till the rest of the show finished. But it was great. The response was amazing, and so I just kept doing that ever since. Traveled during the summers when I was going to school. Went to college, got a degree in psychology, criminal profiling. Actually, to back up a little, in high school, I met a hypnotist, and he was the one that said the word mentalism to me for the first time, because prior to that, I'd been calling it all magic. But when you look at my show back then, it was actually all mentalism. It was things like predictions and mind reading. Hopefully some of what we'll get to later on in today's segment.
Oh, we will, for sure. I want to see some stuff. I didn't actually realize when we booked this is that we were going to be able to get to see some stuff, so I'm even more excited now. Very cool. So what changed? So, I mean, from the criminal or from the hostage situation thing, but so when you went into that where you're like, okay, so this might not be the direction I want to go, more into entertaining, Do you consider yourself an entertainer?
I do. I'm an entertainer, but also think of me as a psychological strategist in a sense. I'm actually writing a book right now, and it's all about, I call it a Swiss Army knife for psychology, where you'll be able to understand the psychology of things like negotiations, influence, sales, attraction, and just anything that can help you out and take you to the next level in real life. Because I really believe the more you know about people, the less you need to know about anything else.
Well, I know that in sales, I've been a salesperson my whole life, and one of being able to read people is really what makes somebody successful in sales. It's not so much as, oh, I can sell, what do they say, like ice to an Eskimo kind of thing. It's being able to read what people are doing and understanding of when's the right time to ask certain questions or when not to say something and just sit there and wait. So, I mean, is that some of the stuff that you kind of go over with people?
Yeah, absolutely. Sales, we could do a whole segment just on that alone.
Right.
You're right. It's about understanding their communication style, the bonding and rapport. We talk about matching and mirroring, but also just in ethical sales, like an Eskimo probably doesn't need ice. And so when it comes to real ethical selling, we're just trying to understand, does this person really have a problem that we have a potential solution for?
Mm-hmm.
And if not, then maybe there's no sale, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all just really, really interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All of the little techniques.
Mm-hmm. When you meet people, can you tell kind of right away whether or not they're a good person or a bad person?
It's such a broad thing, good and bad, right? Because I think people are people, and we all do good things and we all do bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of hard to measure. For example, this is a kind of funny example, but earlier today I was talking about investing in a stock, and the person I was talking to was like, why would you invest in that company? They do horrible things. And so, like, he's not wrong. Does that make me a bad person? So it's hard to tell, but I think I can pick up on certain things like intentions, things like body language factor in.
I'm doing this right now because I'm cold.
Right, and that's a great point.
It's cold in here.
And so Angela's got her arms crossed, and oftentimes people think that's closed off, but you may just be cold, right? So when you're reading body language, you're looking for clusters of congruent signs. If you had your arms crossed and you also had your feet pointed towards the door, because your nose and feet tend to point towards areas of desire. Well, now I've got two congruent signs that maybe you're disinterested.
Is it true that if you're standing with like three people and if you go like this, they'll go like this too? Or when I say this, it's a radio show. I'm crossing my arms. Or if you change your body position, will people actually unconsciously follow you do that?
If you have good rapport. So in sales, sometimes they teach matching and mirroring, but it happens in nature if there really is good rapport. So yeah, sometimes you'll notice, like right now, the thing that you're doing is called steepling. And
is that good or bad? I don't know.
There's a few different levels to it. Like you're steepling pretty high. Typically, men do that. Women tend to steeple lower, but it's all the same. It just means deep thought.
Right. Well, like you said, this is pretty fascinating stuff. So I tend to do that here. And like I said, I try to watch my body language too, because I don't want people to think that I am being closed off. Like I said, I know that is usually like a sign of just not being interested or not wanting to be here. But lots of times it is because I'm cold. So that this all is very fascinating. We still have a little bit of time in this segment. So today, how do you get out? I mean, what are you doing right now as far as like bringing what you do to people?
The main thing that I do these days is I perform at corporate events. At
corporate events, okay.
Yes.
That was what I was trying to get to.
So think after dinner entertainment, but also conference kickoffs or team building activities.
Okay.
Energizers, cocktail hour, mix and mingles,
right.
Anything that requires an interactive icebreaker where the event planner is worried about low engagement or low participation. I'm able to come in like human caffeine because everyone's favorite topic is themselves.
Right.
So when I'm telling you what you're thinking or the person sat next to you is thinking, it's a pretty
that is
appealing
fantastic
thing.
As far as like getting everybody to warm up in a room. I love that. All right. So that clock does say that we're getting ready to go to break. So when we get back, we're going to do some examples maybe?
Yeah.
All right. Would love that. All right. So everybody stay tuned because when we get back, we're going to have more BaaD Radio.
BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore. Summer is here, and it is so hot, so that means it's the time for a trip to Premier Couple Superstore because they have a huge selection of lingerie, shoes, toys, games, love oils, and a ton of great gifts. 5009 South OBT or shop online at premiercouples.net because a couple that plays together stays together. Oh, yeah. All right, we're here with Keith Kong, Mentalist. And so we talked a little bit about your background before break, and then so I got to get warmed up a little bit. So right now we're about to jump into a little bit of some show, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about thoughts, right?
Okay.
Because a mentalist is sort of like a mind reader, but I think a more accurate word sometimes would be a thought reader, because it's not like I can just read everything. I'm trying to pick up on particular thoughts, and thoughts can be super powerful. So in the break, we talked just a little bit about pendulums, and you had some experience with pendulums. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I have a couple. I like them. I mean, honestly, I like the stones. I like the way they feel. And I was told that it could kind of predict things for you. So you could ask it a question, or first you had to establish what was yes and what was no. So you're supposed to hang it and you say what's yes, and it either does a circle or swings back and forth, and it will establish that. And then once you know what yes and no means, then you can ask it more detailed questions. I never get into anything like supernatural because I'm super spooked out about like bad things, but I'll ask it like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, is this going to happen? Or, simple questions.
So as far as predicting the future, I only believe in it to the extent of the future that you desire. So for example, if you were to flip a coin, heads or tails, before it lands, you kind of know sometimes which end you'd prefer it to land on.
Absolutely.
And I think of it like that because I don't think the pendulum's anything supernatural, but I think it's really interesting because it allows you to actually see a thought play out.
That's so cool. I know exactly what you mean too, though.
So
like if I'm like, say yes, and I'll say I want yes to be a circle, and 9 times out of 10 it's going to turn into a circle.
Let's try that right now. And you can watch this on the YouTube video if you're just listening. But right now
you're on the stream too. So
and we're live. Hello. So hold on to the pendulum, and I want you to just imagine it going in a circle. Don't move your hand, but imagine it swinging in a circle. And it's actually happening right now for anyone that's just listening. You can see it on the stream. But now imagine it stopping, and you're not moving your hand at all. Just imagine it coming to a halt, and now it's going to go back and forth in a line.
I swear I'm not moving my hand, and it's doing it.
And this is happening. And so you can stop, you can set that down. But that's crazy because you just saw a thought come to life, and it all begins in your mind, right?
But I wasn't moving my hand. I swear I wasn't moving my hand. That's what people are going to be like, oh, you're doing it. But
exactly. And it's based on a principle called the ideomotor effect, which basically means idea equals movement, ideomotor. And it's the same principle behind the Ouija board and things like that. You sort of know what you want to happen, and then that energy flows outward and makes it happen through the micro movements in your muscles and things like that. And so I think it's really interesting because it's not anything supernatural, but it just shows the power of a thought, and everything begins in the mind.
Do you believe in manifestation?
Oh, absolutely.
So I do big time. Like I believe that I can put energy into an outcome, but I can't put it into that specific outcome. I can put my energy into something that outcome would cause to happen. Like, for example, my son's playing baseball, right? And I want him to do really good. He's on the mound. I can't like mentally make him throw strikes, but I can like flip through my images in my head, and I can pick an image of like my husband like cheering, and that's when I can cling onto mentally and force that one out. And that sounds crazy, but that's what I do.
It doesn't sound that crazy because
he's like just a little bit, not a lot.
Well, where thoughts go, energy flows, and so it's really interesting. We've all heard the word abracadabra. Sure. Do you know where that word originates?
Well, maybe. Well, no, it wasn't Harry Potter because that's abracadabra.
Well, so it originates. One theory is from the Aramaic phrase abracadabra, which translates to "I create as I speak." Okay. Like literally abracadabra, and when the magic happens, it changes.
Right.
And the magician's wand historically is just a tool to focus that energy, that manifestation. So I don't think it's that strange. I think it's real. In psychology, we'd refer to it as self-fulfilling prophecy.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So I made this happen. Like my mind made this happen. Not so much like I wasn't like purposely circling, like going like this to make it do what it did. It just, my mind did it. I like it.
Thanks. Would you like to try something? We talked a little bit about steepling and body language. Would you like to try a little experiment there?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to pass this to you. I have a cup here.
It's like a Yahtzee cup.
Yeah, and inside is a die, right? Take a look. You shake it up, make sure it rolls differently. It's got all different numbers. Just for anyone listening that can't see themselves, I want to make sure it's all on the up and up, right? Take the die for now.
Take it out.
Set the cup down. I want you to put both hands under the table and just hide the die in one of your hands.
Oh, just one?
And then bring both hands out in front of you once you've done that. Perfect. Now, it's completely up to you which hand you do this with. It could be the one with the die or the one that's empty, but keeping both hands closed, I want you to just turn one of them in the opposite direction. Okay. This is interesting. You turned your left hand over there, yes?
I did.
And
I have to remember on the radio. Okay.
This is really interesting because most people tend to turn over the hand that has the die in it, but I don't think that's what you did. This is in your right hand. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's correct. Okay, perfect. So we're just getting warmed up, and that's 50-50, right?
Right.
We're going to take it further. So will you drop the die in the cup? Put your hand on top. Give it a good mix. Shake it up. And then whenever you're happy, stop, peek down, and look at whatever number you have. Okay. And I can't see it from here, but you have a number in mind?
I do.
Will you count out loud from 1 to 6 and try to follow along at home?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Say 5 again.
5.
Say 4.
4.
I'll be honest, it's a 4, isn't it?
It is a 4.
Yes. Show the camera. Let's see.
It's a
Can
4.
they see it? There we go.
Oh, it just might have moved, but it's a 4. So you could tell by the way I said my voice?
Yeah, so it's all about visual, verbal, and nonverbal cues. So we'll try this one more time because so far it's been easy. It's just about reading information.
Right.
But now we're going to go into reading thoughts. So mix it up. Same thing as before. I want you to get a number in mind.
Do you want me to look at it or you?
Yeah. Whenever you're happy, stop, peek at the number.
Okay.
Cover it up. And this time I won't have you say anything out loud. So I just want you to think about the number. Just shout the number in your mind this time again and again. And sit there. 2. Yes?
It is a freaking 2. It was so. Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
So you could read my brain shouting?
Yeah, it's like I said, visual, verbal, and nonverbal cues. So we sort of worked up from visual. Right next was verbal.
But what was I doing that made you say that this was a 2?
And that's the tricky part, right? So for me, I like to sort of blur that line between reality and deception. How much of this is from that magic background versus how much is from the psychology background? And the truth is, it's all a combination of those things.
That was so good.
Thank you.
That's super fascinating. So do you want to try another one actually, you know what? Or like I said, go ahead.
I know we have a break coming up, but it's easy to just imagine like the power that this might have at a mixer, for example, when Bob from accounting doesn't know Susie from HR, but they're all stuck at this company event. The moment I come over, do something like that, and then go to the next table, it's like, oh my God, were you really thinking of the number 2? How could he have known? By the way, I'm Bob. And so it's just a great icebreaker, whether it's on stage for everyone or the sort of walk around strolling thing.
Right. Well, that's actually really, really interesting too. Now, do you ever have them do the guessing or do you always, are you ever wrong?
It's not a perfect science, but as I go, my success rate is much higher than the miss rate, fortunately.
That's really cool. That's amazing. All right. Well, we are coming up on another break. So when we get back there, are we going to do like a little bit more?
Yeah, we'll take it further.
All right. Awesome. All right, you guys. So stay tuned. When we get back, we're going to have more BaaD Radio coming up.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones? Then you're looking for Frogger's Grill and Bar. And don't miss out on Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh, never frozen. With 4 great locations, there is bound to be one near you. Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. Frogger's, hopping with food and fun.
Yeah, boy.
All right. So we're here with Keith Kong, and he is a mentalist. And so first break, we talked about his background. Second break, we talked about, he showed us some examples, which were just fascinating. And then he gave me this worry stone. So now I'm like kind of obsessed with it. I will give it back to you, though. All right. So what do we have in store for this segment?
All right. So for this, we started warming up with some thought reading, things like that. And we'll intensify that a little bit later on. But for now, I want to switch to some influence. So I have an envelope here, and there's something in it. You can see it's one playing card. It's just sort of poking out. But I'll hand that to you. Don't look at it, but keep it next to you.
Is it right here? Okay, right here?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as it's in frame of the camera or something like that. And I've also got a deck of cards here, and I want you and everyone at home to see that all of the cards are different. So the way we're going to do this is I'm just going to deal these cards down one at a time. Whenever you feel the urge, I want you to just say stop.
Okay. Stop.
Right here.
Okay.
Okay. Are you sure? Would you like to keep going, or are you happy here?
No, we've got time, man.
All right. So Angela stopped me on the Jack of Spades. Is that there? Had you gone one more, it would have been the Four of Diamonds. Had you gone any sooner, you could have had any of these.
Okay.
All different, but the Jack of Spades. Did that feel like a free choice? Did it feel like I influenced you in any way to stop at this position?
No. I mean, not that I could tell.
Perfect. I handed you that envelope before we began. Nice and slowly. There's one giant card inside. Slide it out. Hold it up. Show it to the camera. What is it?
It's a Jack of Spades.
That is the Jack of Spades.
How do you do it? It's so crazy.
I don't think that could have been any more fair, right?
No, I mean, honestly, you didn't. I didn't feel like anything on my brain saying "say it now." But I mean, is it always the Jack of Spades, or do you have a bunch of different cards like this?
No, it depends on which card I want them to stop on that day. But today was the Jack of Spades.
And what's the accuracy rate on this one?
Like I said, not a perfect science, but pretty high for me.
That's so amazing. All right, it's like more. What else could we do? All right, we can. I mean, do you want to? We can talk some more. Or do you want to do some more of shows here?
Yeah, we can talk more, and then we'll come back in the next segment.
I would love to talk about some of the stories of like being at events and some of the things that has happened. Or I mean, I love stories.
Yeah. Well, we talked about Fool Us a little bit before this.
Well, let's talk about that one. I mean, like I said, if I would just skip right over that. So tell the whole audience what that was and what happened.
So there's a show. There are these two guys. They're icons when it comes to magic. They're Penn and Teller.
Right. See, I understand that my generation. Anna, you're almost 20. Do you know who Penn and Teller is? No. Okay. So.
That's so fascinating, right? Because Penn and Teller have been around for decades. One of the longest running acts in Las Vegas. They have a residency at the Rio. They've been immortalized on The Simpsons and like all throughout pop culture. And so they now have a show on the CW called Penn and Teller Fool Us, where magicians and mentalists from around the country, around the world really, come in and perform for them and try to fool them. And I was lucky enough to come up with something really creative.
How did you get picked to be on the show? Did you have to submit?
Yes. So I have a consultant that I work with, and he attributes all of his success to other people believing in him more than he believed in himself. And I would say that was almost the case here, because he was the guy that reached out to me and said, hey, Penn and Teller just got renewed for another season. I think you should put something together, pitch it to the producers. I think they'll like your style and personality. And that was a cool moment, just because the fact that he thought that I was capable of it. Because prior to that, I was making excuses. I was a fan of the show, but I would say, oh, that guy, he's already really well established. So the producers, I'm sure, just reached out to him.
Right.
But my consultant telling me this was enough to motivate me to rack my brain, come up with just one good idea that I thought, and pitched it. And they liked it. And they said, yeah, come on, we'll fly out to Vegas and we'll film it.
That's so cool.
And the full story is a bit longer than that, but to fast forward, in season 7, I was on the show, performed for them, and actually fooled them to bring home the trophy, which was amazing.
Yeah, like I said, I pulled it up and started watching it. And first and foremost, like I said, I was like, hey, it's the girl from, it's the one time at band camp, girl,
Yes.
which is Allison is her name, the actress, right?
Yes, Allison was the host at the time. Now it's Brooke Burke.
Oh, okay. Oh, I remember her. She used to do the one where it was like they would, all the party places around, all the beach places and everything. So she still look amazing.
Yeah. She wasn't the host when I was on,
Right.
but I've had a few friends since.
Allison was.
Yeah.
Okay, so you fooled Penn and Teller. Can you tell us what it was that you did?
So it was very original. It was just an idea that I came up with because I was such a fan of the show. I had seen all 6 prior seasons to me being on.
Is it one guest per season or per show, or
4,
do they have 4?
4 per episode,
Okay.
I believe, and then I think Penn and Teller close out each episode with an act of their own.
Okay.
And so I had this idea. It all started with the idea of this video mashup of Penn singing a song.
Okay.
And that was the starting point for me. I really asked myself what would look good on television.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that would be great. And so we had 6 seasons of footage to pull from. And so I went through those 6 seasons and picked one word at a time to create the lyrics to a song, which was Old MacDonald.
So you had to go. Okay, so he's talking, and you have to find a episode where he says old.
Oh, yeah.
Mick.
A lot of long nights over the course of a week.
I bet.
Yes, literally, because I didn't know if he would even complete all of the lyrics to 2 verses in any given song on the list. And finally, I found that he did with Old MacDonald. I got real close with like London Bridge, other songs.
Right. Like rhymes, kids rhymes and stuff.
Right, because there's other considerations for television, like copyright. And so we needed...
Understood. That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And so those songs are public domain.
You could have done like Happy Birthday or things like that. Actually, probably not
Twinkle,
even Happy
Twinkle, Little Star.
Right. Okay, so you put together like this.
Yeah, and so I had this idea, this is going to be the video, and now I ask myself, well, what context does it make sense in? Why would Penn be singing? And so the original concept was for this premise centered around a karaoke bar. And then it just evolved. I knew that people would think maybe he just made a video for every single song on that list. Because what happens is Allison chooses a song, and then the prediction is it's revealed in this music video of Penn singing. But I knew people would think he just made one for every video. So I knew I needed something more physical, and that is what sent me to the idea of a platinum record. And so not only do you see the video prediction, but then there's a platinum record and engraved on the platinum.
So you put this together, and then she thought of a song.
Mm-hmm.
You had her think of a song. And what was the criteria to think it? Like a child's rhyme, or you know what I mean? Like,
so I actually had a list because we had that public domain concern.
mm-hmm.
I provided her a list of well-known songs, things like we discussed. And I just asked her to look at the list and circle any song.
And she picked Old MacDonald.
Yes.
And they couldn't figure out how you did it.
Right. And I mean, the method's insane. There's so much psychology that goes into actually making that moment happen.
But it was with Allison is the one that you had to have that connection with in order for her to pick the song, right? It had nothing to do with Penn and Teller.
Right.
Okay. That's amazing. So you just like just zoned in on her brain and said, pick this one. How do you suggest to somebody how to do something like that? It's just amazing.
Very carefully. And of course, the rules of the show, Allison couldn't be in on it. And that's super important. Anything that I do, like anything here today, anything there that you saw on TV, nobody's in on it or just playing along.
Right.
On Foolish, it's actually against the rules. So she had no clue what was going to happen, and Penn and Teller didn't even have an idea who was going to be performing for them that day.
Okay, that's absolutely amazing. we're going to go to break right now, but before we get done with the show, I wanted to direct everybody how they can go watch that episode as well. So, all right, we're going to go to break. When we get back, we have another segment of BaaD Radio, so stay tuned.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. Your home is one of your most important investments, so don't trust it to just anyone. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you protect your investment. I'd also like to give some thanks to some additional sponsors for making BaaD Radio a reality. Fear No Storm with BoltzLegal.com, Crazy Muscle Nutrition, Imbalance Bodywork, Forge IT Consulting, and Body Street in Winter Park. All right, so we're in the last segment. I'm kind of sad. I wish we had another full hour to go, but we're here with Keith Kong, and he is a mentalist. And so we talked a little bit about his background. We did some examples, and now we're going to do another one. So we've got Anna here now, and she is going to be doing. She's our subject, I guess you would say, right?
Yeah, that's perfect. And hi, Anna. We've never met before, right? This is perfect. And so I feel like I've warmed up well. So I'm going to try something with you, and it'll be interesting. We'll see if this works, right? Mm-hmm. You were asking Angela about my success rate, so this will be questionable.
That was you.
Yeah. No. Well, see, I want you to be right. But I know that there's people out there that are like, oh, what can we do to try to fool them?
Yeah, so, that's not you,
that's
is
no
it?
Fun.
No,
okay.
No.
All right, so we'll give it a shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to think of somebody that I couldn't possibly know, okay? So lock that name in your mind, and do this. Concentrate for me on the various characteristics of this person. So think like male, female, hair color, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a female, yes? Yes, into the mic?
Yes, it's
Perfect.
a female.
Oh, this is interesting. Just in your mind, and nothing out loud, but only in your mind, I want you to spell the name in your mind starting now. Just finished there. Ooh, I'm going to go for this. Concentrate on a letter towards the center of the name for me. Just one letter.
All right. Well, we're doing mind reading here on BaaD Radio.
This is what I'm thinking. Yeah. So I've written something down. Will you tell us what is the letter that you're thinking of?
B.
It's amazing. I don't understand it. Oh my gosh. That is so amazing. Okay. Is there more to this?
Does this person have dark hair?
Yes.
Dark eyes as well?
Yes.
I had to think about that one a little.
Well, I didn't think about that when I was thinking of the description.
Right. Okay.
I think I'm going to give this a shot.
Okay.
So don't look here, but I'm going to. And again, this isn't written down anywhere. This just exists in your mind. You're the only one that knows who this person is, right?
That is correct.
I'm dying.
I've written a name for the first time.
I'm assuming it's correct.
I'm dying.
What is the name?
It's Abby.
Abby? Take a look.
Oh my gosh. How is that even possible? Did you read her mind? You had to have read her mind. There's no other way, because I mean,
we wrote it down on the piece of paper, but we ripped it up and threw it in the trash can.
Right. So this is just in your mind. It's not, and no one's seen it or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Wow. Are you blown away?
It's pretty neat.
I'm pretty blown away. So have you done this one? Thank you. I like that. Have you done this particular exercise before?
Yeah, for sure. This is the kind of thing that you can expect when I'm on a big stage, whether it's emceeing or that after dinner entertainment at a gala or something like that.
Right. You must get such like a response of people just being like, wow, how do you do that? That's amazing. So what's the biggest crowd you've performed in front of?
I actually, I have this written down somewhere. It was a big space. I can't remember.
Oh my God, you just read her mind and you don't know what your biggest your biggest place.
I performed at so many places. I'll say it was in Pasadena.
Okay. So it was like an
auditorium. I can't remember the venue.
Kind of
but it was like a massive hall.
Mm-hmm. Were you so nervous?
Not really. I used to get really nervous. Mm-hmm. Now I say I'd get sort of anxious, just in the sense of like, I want to hurry up, go out there, do a great job. And yeah, let's do it.
Have you ever heard of the Magic Castle?
Oh, of course.
Have you performed there before?
I have not yet.
Okay.
But something's in the works.
Oh, really? That's really exciting.
Yeah, I just had a talk about this last week, actually.
Mm-hmm. Very, very
last
cool.
Wednesday, yeah.
And I saw in your bio that you've performed in other countries.
Yes. So I love to travel, just in general. I think that travel's one of the best investments for anyone. For the culture and everything. I've been to 33 countries so far.
Oh, wow.
But as far as just for work and performing, I think it's been close to 10 now.
Okay.
What's your favorite?
It's such a difficult question because it depends on what you're looking for. Like the cultural experience, China, India, those were amazing. With nature, the Galapagos Islands was incredible.
So do different cultures view what you do as like, I mean, because some people are going to be like, oh, it's magic, it's evil. And then other people are going to be super open-minded to it. Like to me, I would assume, and I know what that means, what assume stands for, but that the Asian culture would be more nervous of it because they have their traditions. And am I totally wrong?
I actually sort of.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm wrong a lot. I don't mind.
No, in China, I actually got to be a guest performer at a place called Magic Stone over there. India was super cool. They called me Jadugar, which means magician or sorcerer.
Right.
And
ooh, it's sorcerer.
I'd say some of the most nervous people that I'd seen were in South Africa.
Okay. Oh, no, that makes sense.
So that was one.
They're like, ooh, what evil is this that's going on over here?
Yeah, and then maybe a little bit of that feeling I encountered in Jamaica at times. I performed there on a few different occasions as well.
I can see where that would be, like with the culture, that'd just be a little bit.
But to be clear, even in America, right, like I had a friend in high school that once came up to me and said, hey, so my mom says that this is like the work of the devil and therefore we can't be friends anymore. And I was just like, oh, okay. Now his name was Moses, so that should have been a clue.
Well, I grew up in a very Christian house, and that's why I say that. Like, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, and I know when my mom comes over and sees what I've done to my house, she's going to be like, OMG, what is got, like I have a potions area, and I have like a defense against the dark arts area, but it's not.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think what makes something evil is what's in here.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I said, my mom would say that this is all witchcraft, without a doubt. So as far as like corporate events and everything, so the whole basis of the show really is local businesses and business networking, right? And so it sounds like what you would do would be amazing, like you said, at corporate events. And so how does that work? Does somebody just reach out to you and is it usually like when they do like the end of the year things, or is it team building? So what's the main thing that you try to focus on?
So for the most part, people reach out to me for a few reasons. Usually they have an event coming up and they're worried about low engagement. So they want something interactive and just positively memorable, which is leading me to the second thing. They've had entertainment in the past, but it was dull or easily forgettable, right? And then finally, they all worry about working with an entertainer that doesn't show up or is unprofessional in some kind of way.
Yeah, no, I understand exactly what you mean.
And so for me, next month will make 19 years that I've been doing this.
You don't look old enough to be doing this for 19 years. Take that as a compliment because you don't. But maybe if you're saying 19 years from the time you're 11, then that will probably work. Okay, so 19 years, got a great backstory. You're reliable. You're going to show up. So like I said, do you have like a website you can go to?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find more information about me, what I do, all of that at kongmentalist.com. That's KONG mentalist.com. And it's also Kong Mentalist on most of the social media platforms. So Instagram, for example, YouTube, you can find me there as well. There's a group on Facebook that you can join. And I would definitely recommend signing up for the mailing list on my website, because when it comes to public events and things like that, that's going to be the first place you'll be notified.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being here. We're absolutely going to have you on again. I think that next time, now we know how everything works, we're going to have it planned out like that. So you guys, thank you for tuning in today. And I'd like to thank again all of our sponsors. And just remember, everybody, to shop local.
All right. Thank you, guys.